Hi, this is David Found. Just want to take you through the process of adding open captions. We'll do an open captions tutorial today on Premiere Pro. I'm using Premiere Pro. If you just have a quick look at Premiere Pro, we're using the version 14, which is version 2020, I believe. 14.5 is 0.0, build 51. It's a bit different in the later versions. I will do a tutorial on the later version as well, but for now we're going to do it on this version, which is pretty much typical of much earlier versions of Premiere Pro as well. So here we have a video clip on our timeline. I've been editing this. It's all to do with nutrition, and what I need, because the girl is speaking in Thai language, I need to be able to add some captions, open captions, because I want the viewer on YouTube to be able to choose whether or not they read the captions or not, so they can then turn them off. So these open captions, so they can be therefore closed, opened on YouTube as well. So here we go. This is the basic timeline we have laid out here. I'm going to now, if I right click in the bin box, the project panel here, if we right click on that, find new item, and we're going to find captions. Now we have some choices. Mostly the standard that most people are going to use is going to be CEA 608, which is the standard for TV broadcasting. I don't need that. I'm going to choose today just open captions, 25 frames per second, and going to match my timeline format, which is the file size, which is 3840, which is 4K footage, square pixels. I'm just going to go OK on that. Once we've got that up on the window, what you'll find is that you've got this box which I need now to drag to the highest level I can. It's better to go as high as you can, because you may have other videos, other clips or other B-roll footage above your primary footage, and that means that we would then be crashing into that or overwriting that as well. So we put it as high as we can to avoid any issues with any of the clips on the timeline. Now once you've done that, you've got a few choices. You can drag this to the end, or you can just keep creating your titles. You've got the first caption, which is showing you type captions here. Obviously I'm going to wait for the girl to start to speak. Okay, so she's speaking, she starts to speak about there. I'm just going to drag this sequence, the caption sequence bar, just across to here where she starts to speak. Okay, so she's saying "Sawadee Ka," and I'm going to turn that into an English language. So here we have the first box for us to start creating that title. If I double click on this, it will then bring up the actual open captions editing bin, where we can now start adding. So I'm just going to type in hello, and maybe if I spell it properly, hello with two L's. Hello, my name is la 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 la, and that's the first caption that we're going to use. Okay, so that's timed up to when she starts to speak. Obviously you can slide this along as much as you want to. Also, what you can do for more precision in terms of placement of the subtitles or the captions is to use alternate, and this is on a Windows computer, by the way. I'm not using a Macintosh or an Apple, so I can then select the actual clip itself, the captions sequence, and I can then move that by using alternate and the arrows on my keyboard, left or right arrows, for more precision placement of where that's going to be. So if I'm happy with that, I now need to create the second part of that, which is going to be, you've got two choices. You can either go here and use the plus box here, which adds another subtitle, or you can simply click on the sequence itself, and you can then when it shows, you can add caption to there too, and just move that to where you want to give you the distance you want, the amount of text that you want in there. So this is creating the first part of that. Okay, so that then goes into the second part of the speech, the vocal track, and I'm going to add more to this. So since, for instance, I am going to talk to you today about... Now it's up to you if you want to create another subtitle track or box, what I was going to say, or you can then just add that underneath this. So if you want to continue adding text to that, you can then of course add underneath. I personally prefer to add that to another box, so I'll just cut that, add that to another box. So that's giving you the basic idea of creating the first text, subtitles, open captions or subtitles, whatever you want to call them, and we're just going to keep creating that. Now what I tend to do, obviously if the person keeps on speaking, then you can do it in a way that you're retaining the black box for the black text box, and then you can just keep adding more text to that, and that will appear on the timeline. If there's a large pause or a large gap between the speech, obviously you don't want this box to be there all the time, this text box, so then you can just find out where she speaks again and then add another caption to that a bit later down the timeline. So for instance, if this was a pause between speech, you just move this to where you want to move it on the timeline, and you can extend that as you want to. Okay, so that's giving you an idea of how to create the open captions on Premiere Pro's timeline. This is a version, I think 2019, 2018, very, very similar to this, and that gives you the layout, shows you how this is laid out on Premiere Pro. Now I've chosen the basic format for the subtitles, open captions, which is just basically text box, black text box with white call out text on that, which is very basic. I don't think we need to do anything particularly fancy, particularly elaborate or creative for this. It's just simply we need people to be able to read captions for the video. So that's that with that. So if you, for instance, if you want to then change anything in terms of text size without going to each individual text box and doing that, you can just simply go over to the right, over to the left, to the bin, to the project bin, press shift and highlight everything, and then make the changes as you want. I'm just going to increase this to say 110. That's increased the size of the text. I'm using the text in the bottom, so basically like a lower thirds text box. I can put that in the middle if I want, so everything is now in the middle. So if I move along the timeline, you can see that everything pretty much is in the middle of that. I go back and choose the first text box and highlight that, highlight everything with, of course, shift, move everything down to like a lower thirds position, and then I can do a couple of changes if I want to. What you can also do if you want to, you can go in and highlight some of the text. Let me go back to the first part, and I want to just choose that section there, and we can then format that so that everything else follows that format. So better to start off with the format that you like, and then just follow through instead of having to go back through the whole timeline and making corrections. Start off with the text size, the text box, text color, everything else that you want, to make sure that you're starting off in the way that you want it to follow through the whole way. So that's giving you an idea of how to create the actual timeline, open captions or subtitles on your timeline. And let me just give you a quick example of what we can do here. If I want to change the actual color of the text box, I can then bring that down to say a more gray color, and everything is now grayed or slightly less dark. And also the same thing with the text itself. I can change the text color to be whatever color I want it to be. And also, if you want to add some stroke to that, you can add stroke to that too, which could be like a black stroke, and that gives you an idea of what you can do in terms of creating the text open captions or subtitles with that. So now this is in red, the text is red with a sort of grayed out text box on the back. Let's just correct that. Let's just put that back to how it was originally, which is a black text box with white text. I'm just going over here to create just white text, just very simple. Don't need to be very creative. We don't need any stroking. I just remembered the name of it, stroking. So that's the basis of creating your first subtitles with Premiere Pro. Okay, so now we're at the point where we want to export our project with the open captions added already. So this is the timeline. I'm going to just click on the actual sequence panel, and we've now got our titles, our subtitles already. Suppose they're already finished, already completed. Let's just do an output and give you an idea of how we can then export the video and make the choices of whether we want to embed the subtitles or captions in the video, or obviously that doesn't make any sense if we've chosen it to be open captions. We want the viewer to be able to make that choice. So let's just make a selection. Let's just do the just a short selection just for this example, in and out, and there we've got our two in and out points, and we can now select, or we can export that part. I normally just press Control and M. Okay, so we have the export window. Let's just choose sequence in and out. We don't want the whole project, and as you can see, that sequence already has the open captions showing on the screen. Now I'm just going to do this quite low resolution for now, just as an example. I'm choosing YouTube 720 HD, and I'm just going to choose the output for that. So it's just going to be a test, subtitle test, open captions, test. Okay, so that's going to go in my folder with the other videos I produced. Now this is where everybody knows when you're exporting your videos. I hope that you do, that you choose the right format, file format and everything else, and the quality resolution for your output. I'm using hardware encoding because I've got a fairly powerful machine. And so here we go over to the element that we need to be aware of, is how to then make the choice in terms of creating the output file to then be opened and be uploaded to YouTube. Obviously in this particular case we do not want to burn captions into the video. I'm going to pull down this window. Obviously we don't want none because we've spent hours creating the captions. So we want to create a sidecar file. Okay, a sidecar file. Now there are a number of choices, but in regards to using this on YouTube, I'm just going to choose it to be subrip subtitle. So this is an SRT format. I like to include the SRT styling. The styling that I've used is the black text box with the white text, and that's pretty much going to create a secondary file which I can then upload to YouTube. So this is basically the workflow for creating captions, open captions in Premiere Pro, and then importing those and uploading, of course, into to YouTube. So here we are with that selection. I'm going to export that. That will export with two files, of course, the video file itself, and that won't take very long because this computer should work fairly quickly. It's taking just a few seconds to output that file. Let's just go to the folder where that's actually been created. So this is the video clip, food for the elderly, should not miss, open captions test. This is the test, and on the right to that we have the SRT folder which has been created, file rather, so we can then upload that to our file on YouTube. Okay, so those two have been created. Now we're going to go and take those to YouTube, and we're just going to upload that file. As you know, upload the file. We'll do some shortcuts here. This is the test. That shouldn't take very long to upload, but when that's uploaded, we now have the window where we need to make a couple of choices selections, because you can't just simply go and add the subtitles without a couple of additional selections being made. The additional selection we need to make is just go to show more, and we're going to pull down these tabs so we can see the video language. The video language is Thai, so I'm just going to choose Thai language because she's actually speaking in Thai, and that's there. And we're going to add subtitles. Now, the file that we've created, the SRT file, is what we need to add to this. So obviously with timing, because that's standard default, the file we need to add is this file here, which is the SRT file, Food for the Elderly. Should not miss Open Captions test. We're just going to upload that, and all of a sudden we have the Open Captions that we've created. Just press done on that, and once that's of course uploaded and all finished, we're going to go to public, and that's going to go out, and hopefully that's all completed. I don't want to copy the file there, but if we go back to content, just click on this video, and if we click on that, this will bring up the captions. Okay, so here we have the choice now to open or close those captions, and there you have the workflow for creating captions from Premiere Pro, the software that I use, to take that through to your YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today.